Hello, and you're welcome to episode 294 of Treaty Talk. Tom Clancy, joined as ever by the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers, Matt O'Callaghan, to discuss all things Gaelic games in Limerick. We have ladies' football, we have Camogie, we have men's football to look forward to this week. Plenty to discuss over the next hour or so. So do stay tuned and enjoy this week's offering.
The impression of the game you get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Curry. Curry leading the charge of the Red Brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Okay, so as I say, fast approaching 300 episodes. We've seen plenty of Mikey Ryan and co on that intro down the years about the big 300.
Never get tired of it, Tom.
No, that's it. I always have a little bit of a chuckle. It is an iconic moment in Limerick GA. Matt, plenty of action. I think you mentioned to me you were at 6 games across various codes, and that being a lot of adult games, of course, male and female across the various different grades. So before we get into the teeth of it, any main highlights for the weekend that jumped out?
Well, it's the weeks. I was out last Wednesday night, this night week, and it started off with a bit of a surprise when Ballingarry, who had lost the first 2 games in the Premier Championship, overcame Garryspillane in Kilmallock. And you'd have to say, Tom, that they were actually full value for their win. And Ballingarry were written off in a lot of places, Tom. And now that I have seen them for the first time, I think that is misplaced. I think Ballingarry are going to trouble an awful lot of clubs. And, I think they'll make a bolt for the semi-final. Whether they'll make it or not, I don't know. But they look very, very confident. They played very neat hurling. And, they were efficient in the final third, which is terribly important. And Micheál Clancy was saying afterwards that, their manager, that, it was the first time this year, that he was more or less playing from a full hand, and that he was expecting that type of performance when he would be in that position. Now, Garryspillane, they were so wasteful, Tom. They shot 16 wides. Now they were without Hugh Flanagan and John English. Now Hugh Flanagan will be back for the next round. John English is unlikely to be, but they were 2 losses to him. But that's not to detract from for 1 minute. Would I detract from what I thought was a very, very competent and efficient performance by Ballingarry, and they're very, very much up and running now because, as I said, the narrative going around was that Ballingarry are going to be fighting to survive. I'll be shocked if they'll be fighting to survive, and it's something that they could put to bed in the next round because I think they're due to play Na Piarsaigh in the next round.
Right, yeah, and
they're also struggling, and I've seen Na Piarsaigh twice, and I would have to say that there may be 2 Na Piarsaighs there. There was the Piarsaigh who, put up a very brave battle against Effin. And then there was Na Piarsaigh that, particularly in the second half, were overrun by Blackrock.
Yeah. That was
just as we're on Blackrock now, they're due to play with their back game with Bruff this Friday evening in Kilmallock.
Yeah.
At 6:45 now. It was a postponed first round game.
Yeah, I'd even forgotten that game was even due to take place. That was postponed, as you say, in round 1. I think there was 2 games postponed in round 1. But from a hurling point of view, I suppose it'd be good now that we get this group kind of back to level playing field. Yeah, I think is there another outstanding game in the
Glenroe Na Piarsaigh is it won't be until the 27th of September. So, Tom, you wouldn't want to be
long
hanging.
enough. No, that's a round 1 game which is being played between round 6 and 7. So it'll be the penultimate game for those sides. So we're kind of catching up on the fixtures, but a nice way for Granagh Ballingarry to honour their long-time sponsor, Dinny A. Of course, that was the reason the game was postponed as well. A nice little touch to get the win. I'm sure
It was a lovely touch, and whether he was interceding from above or not, but they certainly honoured the man in a very, very, very proper way. It was a very efficient performance, and I was impressed with the way they set out and the way they played the game. Now, Luke Flynn is an ideal target man. I think we got a snapshot of that in last year's county intermediate final, Tom. But I can tell you he's translating it over to he got a goal, he got a couple of points. He was involved in an awful lot, Tom. And if you have a target man like that, it's a big asset. But all over the field now, they really troubled Garrisplain, and they set out in such a way that the supply into the full forward line, as we know, with Callum Sheehan and Colin Ryan inside in the full forward line, Garrisplain can be very dangerous. Now, Riney Tobin was made up the third one, and ironically, he got the first goal. But for the most part, they were living in crumbs, and that was because of the way that Garrisplain set out, Granagh Ballingarry set out, and it condemned Garrisplain, to shooting maybe from farther out than they would have liked, and I suppose in a way it contributed to the huge tally of 16 wides.
Okay, right.
By the way, Granagh Ballingarry had only 6 by my reckoning.
Yeah. Just to quickly, we'll move on to football now, but just to look at the table, Newcastle West will be, I think, glad of that result, because it means they're out on their own at top with 3 wins from 3. The Bouncers in behind with 2 wins, and obviously that defeat now Effin and on the same. So that's the top 3, and Granagh Ballingarry, I suppose, off the foot of the table as we're into 6th place, but work to do to make that top 4. But as Matt is kind of touching on there's probably now a bit of a better feeling around the place, given the nature of that victory. Okay, let's turn to football, Matt. Senior football.
But just if we can briefly refer to the game with Bruff on Friday night.
Yeah.
That's going to be a crucial game now, because it's the 3rd game for both clubs, and both clubs have lost already.
Yeah.
Blackrock lost to Garrisplain and then had a good win over Napirsig, while Bruff had a good win over Granagh Ballingarry before losing to Newcastle West. Now, for the game against Newcastle West, they lost a player after about 4 minutes to a straight red card. So effectively, they were playing the game almost the entire game with just 14 players.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I'm hugely impressed by the 2 returnees to the Blackrock team. They've made a huge difference. Jimmy Quilty has been outstanding in the game and a half that he's played, and Dahi Heffernan, he was moved into fullback, absolutely fantastic. So they've really tightened up. Richie McCarthy is dislodged and reposted up to the forwards, and he's causing a bit of trouble up there. Trust me, he is. You see, Richie McCarthy is a very good hurler, and he's adaptable to any part of the field you put him in. But that's going to be a very, very interesting game. It's a game I'm looking forward to on Friday evening.
Okay, yeah, they're not Richie's first venture into the forwards anyway, for club indeed. Let's turn to football now, Matt, and some big margins of victory last weekend, and some, I suppose, significant moves. We'll start with Group 1. I think there was obviously, there was 3 games played in each group. Probably the surprise here is maybe the margin of some of the victories, but maybe also surprises that Ula picked up a point against Newcastle West. I think they kicked the last 3 scores to pick up a draw, and a much needed one at that, because obviously they'd lost their first 2 games, and the draw in some ways might not be enough, or mightn't do enough for them, but it could do an awful lot in terms of just more than a point. It could be a confidence filler that they need.
Oh yeah, that's it, Tom. In terms of the table, it's going to do very, very little, but in terms of confidence and belief, it's going to do a hell of a lot. Make no mistake about it. And but I said it last week, Tom, and I've said it previously on a podcast, that during the group stages, Newcastle West tend to just do what they have to do, and probably on this occasion they got caught. But, I don't want to detract for 1 minute from the performance for Ula, which they will regard as a very, very good point. Now, Josh Ryan got 5 points, but he left the scene 7 minutes from the end, which, if it is an injury, must be worrying for Ula going forward, because let's face it, he's that talisman, and lose a player of that caliber, especially going into what is, a de facto relegation playoff this weekend with Ballysteen.
Yeah, it is. Just a slight tangent or a look back. I don't think Newcastle West. I think they'd won every single group game since 2019, and they lost the final group game in 2019 to the same opposition.
To Ula.
I think Ula in Martinstown, a late score, I think, from Ula to win that one.
I was reflecting on it, and I remember being at a group game in Kilmallock when Ula caused a big shock. It could be 6 or 7 years ago, and a certain Richie English got 3 goals for Ula. There might be an element of Ula being a bit of a bogey team for Newcastle West. But if you look back at Newcastle West in that run of the last 5 or 6 years, and you will see, Tom, that there have been very few big margin victories. With Newcastle West, it's a question of getting the job done. And I thought they would be absolutely gung-ho for this one, to get the qualification of the football out of the way, with a certain crossover that there is to hurling, which that there must be 6 or 7 players that are playing both.
Yeah.
So, but they'll have to go again. They'll have to go this weekend, and Galtee Gales are going to provide a much sterner test, I would imagine, than Ula.
Yeah, I know that's
Newcastle
for sure.
Newcastle West are going to be very wary this weekend.
Yeah, I actually referred to this as Group 1. It's actually Group 2, but we'll
It's
stay on
Group 2,
Group 2. We'll stay on Group 2. We'll just look at the other results. So, look, the point probably does more for Newcastle West than it does for Ula, maybe in the context of the table. But look, Ula will have to build on that. They're not going to survive with just a point. That is a fact. But they'll hopefully.
If Newcastle West, if Newcastle West want to qualify for the semi-final and reduce the number of games, which would be an imperative for them at this stage, even a win on Thursday evening will not ensure that, Tom. Because to take them to 7 points, and were they to lose the last game and Galtee Gales win it, Gales take the semi-final spot.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, that's what the draw has done for them. It is kind of hampered that straight route, but they're still in their own hands to win the last 2 games, and they'll secure that. But,
it is, absolutely. But there's that little bit of extra pressure on now for the next 2 games. Yeah, look, there's no doubt Newcastle West are going to qualify for the knockout stages. Yeah, but I'm sure that Liam Keane and Derry McMahon would like, if they could get a game less on their charges in what is a very congested fixture list, and as they try to juggle the commitments to hurling and football. Yeah,
you mentioned the Gales there, Matt, that being Galtee Gales, of course, right down in the south, southeast of the county, or whichever way you look at it. 4-11 over Kildare Paliskenry. Now, I spoke to someone who was at this game, and it seemed like a game that one team took their chances for goals, the other did not, and that being Galtee Gales. So, like a 12-point victory, I don't know. Does it flatter them, or does it do justice to their performance?
That is a simplistic analysis of it now, Tom.
Right.
I was at the game. Galtee Gales were full value for their win now. They got 1 or 2 lucky goals. We'll concede that. But, Danny McGrath was never really tested in the Galtee Gales goal. Right. I don't know what match whoever you were talking to was at, or what side of the field they were at. Now, but a few balls dropped into Danny's hands.
Right.
Which is nearly as wasted a ball as a wide. If you like, in the modern game. But you had a fantastic display there by Tom Childs in the middle of the field. It was an exhibition of high fielding. And it was my first time seeing the Gaels in 3 games, and I was hugely impressed with them. They haven't any new players, Tom, but they're totally refocused. Now the Childs, Tom and my brother, my good friend, his brother Bob, you know, are they were outstanding, and you had Morris O'Sullivan, who's back fully fit at the moment after 4 or 5 years being dogged by injury, and he's a powerful centre half back. He's back to his trade runs and all that sort of a thing. And what about Zach McCarthy? 2 goals and 2 points the other night. He got the first goal after the minute. Right. Now the first goal, they'll say he got it from 2 or 3 yards, Tom, but it was a magnificent build-up, you know, and the epitome of unselfishness, you know, because there are 2 before Zach that could have taken it on, but they wanted to make sure, and Zach was on the end of it and finished it clinically, as you'd expect from Zach, you know.
Yeah.
And he got a second goal in the second half, in which he was blocked at the first attempt, but he made sure from the second. You know, I had somebody said to me after the game, should the Gaels got 3 lucky goals? I couldn't count to 3, Tom. I thought Bob Childs and Alan Condon. The dog is agreeing with me. Bob Childs and Alan Condon got good goals. You know, the Gaels were full value, but let's put it into context. Kildimo Pallaskenry, no Tony McCarthy injured, no Cahill Downs injured, no Lachlan O'Leary away, and no Eddie McLaughlin withdrew for personal reasons on the night.
Yeah, that's a lot of talent to be missing.
There are 4 big players for Kildimo. Add into it Peter Nash that was not fully fit. You know, Peter played through the pain barrier. But by God, you could have fooled me, like the way, you know, he got around the field and the way he was driving his players on.
Yeah.
But it looks to me, you know, that Kildimo Pallaskenry have a bit of a challenge on their hands, Tom.
Yeah, they've 1 win from 2. We must remind 1 win and 2 defeats, I should say. We must remind people. So definitely work to do, whether it is just to sustain themselves in the grade or to try and, you know.
It's not going to get easier this weekend with Father Cases.
Yeah. Well, they're out of the championship if they don't win that one, more or less, aren't they? After even a draw is no good, really. They're going to have to beat Father Cases to stay in the running. And actually, if they do, though, they'll flip their season. But yeah, a defeat here puts them in peril, because the Skeeton and Ula, one of them or both of them will pick up something in their game. So, you know, a defeat here really puts them in jeopardy.
I was speaking to somebody about the Father Casey's Ballysteen game at the weekend, and they were waxing lyrical about the performance of Father Casey's in the first half, and couldn't emphasize enough how good the 3 goals that they got were.
14 to 7. That kind of speaks for itself. Apologies, my dog's getting a bit too invested in the podcast.
Is the dog a Ballysteen fan, and he wants you to stop talking about it?
No, Jack Neville isn't here at all. But 3-14 to 7. That's pretty dominant. That's pretty.
It is, and it comes for Ballysteen. It's worrying times for Ballysteen, and it comes on the back of what was a heavy defeat to Galtee Gales as well. Now I saw Ballysteen in the first round, and they were in a winning position, Tom. 6 or 7 points up going down the home straight, and they were overtaken by Kildimo Pallaskenry, with Cahill Downs landing 2 late frees to flip the result in their favour.
Yeah,
and it has been
derailed them. Yeah,
it absolutely derailed them. You're right, absolutely derailed them. So they have a huge game. They have a huge game with Ula this weekend. Huge game.
They're after conceding 3. Was it 3-10 against Galtee Gales and 3-14 the other day? Like that's unfortunately that's inconsistently bad. You know, that's
26.
Yeah, that's not good. That's something that really needs to be tightened up, because you know they have forwards that can win them games. You know, we know that, but if the
Yeah.
back door is open too much, I think they'll be in more than a bit of peril. So
Well, you when you a player like Danny Neville among your ranks, you always have a chance,
yeah.
Now Joey Rush, who I was very impressed with in the first round, didn't play the last night, or certainly wasn't included in the team list, whether it was an injury or what.
Yeah, unsure about that one now myself, but yeah, he had impressed you. I recall a couple of weeks ago. Just we might as well stay on this group, Matt, and look at the fixtures. I think you've touched on them, a lot of them there. The biggest one is probably at the bottom in some senses. I know Newcastle West and Galtee Gales, but there's a possibility both of those will go through anyway, regardless of what happens on Thursday evening between them. But Ballysteen and Ula, this is a big game, because Ula can actually, because of that draw last weekend, they can preserve themselves in senior with the victory, and
That's true.
They can get that box ticked off. And in the case of Ballysteen, I suppose they could flip it and put Ula into nightmare scenario, or going into the last round of fixtures. So that's the offer in that one. That is probably the biggest game of the weekend in either group, but particularly in this group.
It is absolutely, and the pressure is really on both sides. Now, I know they have the safety net of a relegation playoff, but relegation playoffs tend to take on a life of their own, Tom.
Yeah.
And as I've seen it with my own club involved for the last 2 years, Ballylanders, against Galway 2 years ago, and last year against Claghon. You can take nothing for granted going into a relegation playoff. And because both teams are there, and they're there for a reason, because they're not playing enough good football, they're not winning football matches. So, but I have a fancy maybe for Ula to just get over it. I think that, a lot of it will depend on whether Josh Ryan is on board, and a lot of it will depend, on what confidence you see. In terms of confidence, these sides have gone in opposite directions over the last week. Like, Ula must be high in confidence. Ballysteen must be extremely low in confidence. Now, you must remember that it's 3 weeks since the second round. Ballysteen suffered a heavy defeat in the second round to Galtee Gales. And, you'd be saying to yourself, now, with 3 weeks, we get the thing right. Here you come back and it's more of the same. That is worrying, Tom.
It is, yeah. The other game in this group, obviously the top two, will come to that, but the Killalown Palace-Kenry, Father Casey's, I mentioned it there. Father Casey's can book their knockout place. They can knock Killalown Palace-Kenry out. It's last chance saloon for Killalown Palace-Kenry's hopes of reaching the knockouts for, I think, would it be the third successive season?
It's third year in a row, Tom, yeah.
Yeah. So this last chance saloon, and Casey's edged them out, I believe, in I think the same round even last year. I think it was round 4 as well last year.
They edged them out. I thought they edged them out.
Round 5 maybe. Anyway,
they edged them out in the quarter final 1 year.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the first year they're up senior, yeah, Casey's won the quarter final, yeah.
Because Casey's first knockout win in almost 14 years, was it?
Yeah, that sounds about right. That was going back to 2022, if my calendar is switched on in my head. But yeah, straightforward for both these teams. A win is what they want, because
a win is what they want, and you'd have to say that the momentum is with Father Casey's. But speaking to John Chalk, who is the manager of Kildimo Palace-Kenry, around the game last week, and he's very good philosophy about it. In that he's saying to himself, look, this is the situation we're in. This is the players that are available. We've got to go and make the most of it. There's no point in, he's not certainly wallowing in what might have been, or who might have been available, or who should be available, or who would be available but for injury. And I think that's the right approach to it.
Yeah.
And he put out a very young side, a fine, enthusiastic side. Now, and I tell you, I spoke about the players that were missing. A huge cog in that team for the last couple of years has been Liam O'Sullivan.
Yeah,
he was the man that captained them when they won the county. And he's now down under in Australia. This is their first season playing without him. A big loss.
Yeah, and someone that was in around the Limerick panel as well for a period as well. So he's
I would be pretty confident that he would have been on the Limerick panel this year. Were he not?
Yeah, no, that's a substantial
Very,
loss.
very good footballer now.
Yeah, and you mentioned the
So
injuries as well.
I'm making the contrast or the comparison with Kildare Pallaskinry of last year, and what's happening to this year, and I just don't like seeing what's happening to them, because like they've been a great club, and the progress they've made on two fronts.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like the rise that they have both in hurling and football has been simply phenomenal.
Yeah, they more or less had a promotion every season for about 5 or 6 seasons or more, even across the two codes, one or the other, or sometimes both. Yeah, so
And
the
you see,
rise has been remarkable. Yeah,
who I thought was quite good now the other night, and this will be music to Natal O'Grady's ears for the hurling, is I thought Darren O'Connell looked very fit, very sharp, and really up for it, and he caused Galtee Gales a bit of trouble now.
Yeah. Well, he needs more of that against Father Casey's in this one. And
another worrying thing would be Connor Staff went off, and he's their team captain with about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, another injury.
And I didn't check was it an injury or was it tactical, but I suspect that it was some kind of a knock.
Yeah.
It takes a big decision to take off your captain.
Yeah, that's true. The final game in this group, I'm conscious now we have to look at Group 1 as well. The final game in this group, the two sides at the top, Newcastle West and Galtee Gales. The Gales can book themselves into the semi-finals, if my maths are correct.
Absolutely, that's correct, because they'll be on 8 points.
Yeah, confidence.
Well,
certainly.
Your maths are totally correct, Tom. Because if they win, they're still a Father Casey's in the final round, who could flip it if Father Casey's were to win it on the head-to-head.
Oh, there we go. Now we have it. Yeah, they're not quite there, but they'd be very close. And they keep it in their own hands is probably the best way of saying it, and sort of completely cement themselves in the quarterfinals at least, with the result here. So this should be a bit of a free hit in some regards, but Galtee Gales coming into this one against Newcastle West full of confidence. That's the way they should be, I'm sure.
Absolutely full of confidence. And speaking with quite a few of them now over the last couple of days, as I say, I was at that game. I was at their ladies football game the following night, and I was at their junior football game the following on Sunday. So I got a fair cross section of them, and whilst they accept that 'tis a free hit, but they are focused on trying getting a result against Newcastle West, and they're certainly not overawed by them.
No, the direct route is the best route, I think, here.
And I think that they're going to make it very difficult for Newcastle West.
Yeah. Well, all 3 of those games, or all 6 senior games, are on this Thursday evening. So we'll look now, Matt, at Group 1, and
the bad feeling about the 6 of them, Tom, hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
I've met it a number of times over the week, and you probably met it too, or were you out and about as much as I was? Maybe not.
No, not quite. It's a bit of a down week, but I've people saying, what's the story with that?
People are disappointed, and people are struggling to find an answer. Now, I got an answer that it had got to do with the leaving certificate, but the leaving certificate applies to junior and intermediate as well, and under 20.
Yeah, and we've all those games over the weekend. Yeah, it's look, it's a strange one. It's one that I don't agree with, and I don't think you do, and I don't think many around the county do, because often you'll see, and that's probably the final point on it, often you'll see at these games, if it was Newcastle West and Ula, for example, or meeting, you'd see Father Casey's and Ballysteen supporters or players at least at them. So people like to get to multiple games, but if they are on at the same time, that simply is not possible.
No.
Yeah, so now look to Group 1, and I inadvertently got my groups mixed up. Munger St. Paul's, 3 from 3, knockout football. I'm pretty sure almost home and hosed, that would take the most bizarre set of results for them not to make it now. But let's talk about Monaleen first. Munger have put Monaleen into real peril. 3 defeats from 3. Nobody, I don't think, around the county saw that coming just a few weeks ago.
Not at all, Tom. And myself, I must say, mea culpa, because after the first round defeat to Adair, I was peddling the idea, and which is true, of course, that they have been notorious slow starters in the past, and that they eventually get going in the second or third game. Now, I saw them in the second game, Tom, and I was saying to myself, they're on here. I think they were They were 6 or 7 points up against St. Kieran's, and suddenly it was like as if St. Kieran's walked over and turned on the tap, and blew them out of it for the rest of the game, and inflicted that second defeat on them. But it was a crushing defeat, and I suppose the circumstances of the defeat last weekend, Tom, is crushing altogether in that it was a penalty.
Yeah.
In time added on, conducted by John Hutton, that gave him the win. Like, I suppose Monaleen would have given anything for the point.
Yeah.
They'd have given anything for a point just to get off the mark, and I suppose we're holding out for it, and obviously holding out too much, and that they held on to some fella and conceded a penalty, So, no, it's troubling times for Monaleen, and if you look down through the team sheet, Tom, you find it very, very hard to get an explanation as to why they're in the position they're in. This is a team now that basically, with most of the players that are still there now this year, that were involved in the semi-finals last year, and the year before,
Yeah.
Well, I remember in 2022, Newcastle West were extremely lucky to get out of Eskeaton. They beat him. They beat him by a goal, a late Dermot Kelly goal. But the game was in the melting pot. The goal was as late as what they conceded the other night now.
Yeah.
But I cannot get it now, because the influx, they had an influx of 3 footballers from Kerry, the Shukru brothers and Daniel Daly. And you said to yourself, with what was there, to get that kind of a boost, you'd say, well, they were making saucepans, but by God, it looked to be going okay last year, but they're in serious trouble at the moment. But there is, if you look at the group in its totality, their last game is against Ballylanders.
Yeah.
And were Ballylanders to lose to Mungret St. Paul's on Thursday evening, even whatever result Monaleen would get against Napirshick, although I have a sense that Monaleen might beat Napirshick.
Right. But I know what you're saying, if they suffer a 4th defeat.
Yeah, and if Ballylanders and Monaleen met, with Ballylanders 2 points ahead, Monaleen would flip it.
Straight shootout, basically, yeah.
With a win, because they'd have it on the head-to-head.
Yeah.
Now, there was some rumour going around last week about that it was no longer head-to-head. There's points difference, but I've sought clarity on that.
Right,
and I've written clarity with there that it is head-to-head where 2 are involved. That I couldn't get my head around while people were saying this thing. If something isn't broken, why fix it, I think that kind of a system has stood us well, although Newcastle West wouldn't agree with you after missing out on a head-to-head by 1 point in the Intermediate Championship last year. But it is on the head-to-head. So, like, Monaleen have 2 chances, Tom, to save their skin. I could go as far as saying that win one of the games, it'll put them in a very, very strong position, because you could have a situation where you could have 3 teams at the bottom ending on 2 points, and it coming down to scoring difference.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's possible, because if Monaleen win this weekend and lose,
it's not possible. If Monaleen win this weekend, that is not possible.
Yeah, but even if it's not possible,
it is possible, because Napirshick could draw the final game, and Ballylanders and Monaleen could draw the final game, and you have 3 teams on 3 points.
Well, that's the only way it's possible. 3 points, yeah. No, that's the scenario that is maybe a little bit outlandish, but that's the only way they can. The only way they 3 teams can reach level at the bottom.
Far-fetched, Tom.
Yeah. Now, do you be looking at the rule book then? I'd say to some sort of playoff, because I don't think teams can be relegated on scoring difference, to the best of my knowledge. So if that happens now, we'll be going to the rule book. But
you see, Tom, they're not being relegated. They're being condemned to the relegation playoff.
Oh, yeah. So their scoring difference will come in, and at the moment, would you believe, -15, -17, -18. There is very, very little between the 3 of them.
Very, very little between them.
Yeah. There's a few cards have to turn up a different way for that to happen. But yeah, Monlean's, it's a survival mission now, Matt. That's simply it. But I think
You see, the Piercing, Tom, it's a huge game for the Piercing because they're playing the final game,
yeah,
and
you
like
wouldn't-
you know, trying to get points off a dare when they're at full strength, like is trying to get blood out of a turnip.
yeah. Well,
You know,
it's the scenario here for a bit like Ula, the Piercing's mission, as it were, to stay in senior for this year at least. They can save it. They can get that box ticked this weekend to beat.
oh yeah,
Monaghan.
if the Piercing win it this weekend, it's a straight shootout. Well, Ballylanders may beat Mungret.
Yeah, yeah. But what the Piercing, if they get their win, won't be caught by Monaleen, because
No.
obviously Monaleen only have one chance to catch them with 4 points behind them. But yeah, that's the objective for the Piercing this weekend against Monaleen. But I opened with, I think, Mungret St. Paul's in this group, and we've maybe ignored them to this point. But what a run! What a run! 3 wins from 3.
What a run! Like, and you know, boxed in there in the middle of it is a win over a dare, like, which is something that very few people have, you know, have savoured. I was talking to Paul Maher after the game about it, after the Ballylanders game, you know, and like it's something that doesn't happen. It's that, you know, a dare lose a group game, you know, and it almost assures you that if they lose one, they won't lose another.
Yeah, no, that's it. But Munger's 3 from 3. Obviously kicked on 17-point winners first day out, and have kicked on with impressive wins over Adare and now Monaleen. So
you know, Kevin O'Hagan and Paran are entitled to be absolutely delighted. You know, they have so successfully made the transition from intermediate to senior. But Tom, I'm not so sure it's a huge surprise from what we saw towards the end of the competition last year.
No, it's not. I wouldn't.
I think there was a lot of people of the opinion, you know, that Mungret could be the best thing that happened to the Limerick Senior Football Championship for a while, as that they could upset the apple cart of Tweedledum in the semi-finals every year.
Yeah. Well, if they win this weekend, they confirm that for us, regardless of whatever happens. They'll have the semi-final in the bag, and that will certainly mess up the order of things, which we have been praying for here. I think you'll agree on Treaty Talk. So.
Absolutely. We've been praying for it in hurling, and we've been praying for it in football. You know, we've been critical of it being the same in hurling. Not critical of it, I wouldn't say, because, you know, it's the best teams that go through. But we would like to see a bit of a change. And while all that was happening behind our back, like the same thing was happening in football almost, you know, going unnoticed. But it's about to change. Yeah,
and they're taking a leaf out of Adair's book, albeit early days. But Adair, as you recall, Matt, when they came out of intermediate, they went all the way. So it can be done. The precursor is there, as it were. Mungers, you know, they'll probably be fearless now, I think, from here. They are overall quite a young team, a young team overall. And
what should they fear, Tom?
Oh yeah, there's,
you know,
I know.
For the first game or two, maybe you might fear going back down again, that you mightn't be able to mix it with the big boys. What have they to fear? Absolutely nothing. They've beaten two of the last 4 of last year. They've beaten Adair and they've beaten Monaleen.
Yeah, and they've beaten the Piercing in the last 6 as well. So
yes,
you know,
last year now. Now I know it was a depleted Adair team and Adair team. Now I saw Adair last Thursday night against Ballylanders. And, you know, it's a warning for everybody that they're getting back very near to full strength. Hugh Burke played the full game. Now Mikey Lyons picked up a bit of a knock. Davy Lyons is back. Shane O'Connor is back. Jack English is back. Owen Costello. They're all there or thereabouts. Robbie Burke is closing in and returning. So, you know, Harry Gleeson is in a happy position out there with that, you know, not very far away. He's going to have a full squad at his disposal. Now Shane Doherty only played half the game, and he's okay. He just got caught up in travel. And now, having said that, Ballylanders gave him plenty of it, Tom. Absolutely plenty of it. Ballylanders were only a point down with nearly 10 minutes to go. And it was Shane O'Connor who got a good goal, like The ball was looped over the Ballylanders defence. How they allowed themselves to be drawn out so far, I don't know. But Shane O'Connor made no mistake, but you know, they will be gelling, you know, with the players back now, and you know, it was like a new start for them in many ways, in that they had so many players returning to the team that weren't in it, you know. Oh, Joe Sweeney had a very good game. I thought got a very good goal, set up by Paul Maher. But Bally kept on their heels, and if you look at the record over the years, Tom, apart from the 2020 county final, Ballylanders have always caused the Dare trouble.
Yeah.
Always. You know,
Yeah.
which was something people from the Dare acknowledged to me before the game and after the game, you know. Now, I was tongue-in-cheek saying to a few, Marshall, you have it easy here today, you know.
They
were having none of it, you know. A Dare are a Dare.
Yeah, inching their way back towards their.
They're not inching, Tom. They're striding their way back.
Very well put. Yeah, well, 7 points in the end anyway, the margin in that one. Fixtures this weekend in this group, Matt, this being Group 1, of course, St. Kieran's and Adair. That's a big one now in the context of hunting knockout football, because St. Kieran's, we haven't mentioned them yet, but a little bit knocked off kilter last weekend by courtesy of that defeat in Clorina against Napiershik. So important now for St. Kieran's. Won the first 2 games, went away and played a couple of rounds of hurling, didn't go so well after losing again here now in the football. Big one for them. Can they rise themselves and maybe cause a bit of a surprise here against Adair? That's the big question.
I think it's going to be difficult, Tom. But John Hayes was missing, I think, the last day, and he, to me, like, is the master puppeteer. He pulls all the strings. You know, I saw St. Kieran's in the first 2 rounds. He was excellent in both games. You know, clubs like St. Kieran's, Ballylanders, and people of that level, you know, you cannot afford to lose a top player, Ula. That's why I put so much emphasis on Josh Ryan. You know, it you know, it throws everything off the rail. You know, it distorts everything. So you know, a lot will depend on whether John Hayes is playing or not, whether he's fit. Now, I heard he picked up an injury, and on his performance in the first 2 rounds, I was very sorry to hear it, and felt that St. Kieran's without him would be in trouble. But to be quite honest, we all agreed here last week, Tom, that we thought that St. Kieran's would seal the deal against Napiershik.
Yeah, that was what was there for them, you know. Get over the line, get that third win.
It was, and I spoke to some of the Kieran's lads after the Monaleen game, and you know, they were focused. They were not taking anything for granted, Tom.
Yeah. But look at their fixture.
They knew they had to go out against the Napiershik side that were struggling, you know, and would be fighting on their backs, you know, to get out of it.
Yeah, but look at their fixtures now. I mean, that's the concern, because obviously they'll find, you know, it's Adair for St. Kieran's this weekend, and a Mungret in the final game. So it isn't getting any easier. It's not getting any easier, Tom.
It's not getting any easier. They're into miracle territory that their 4 points might take them over the line, but I
think they're going to need another result from
they're going to need another result.
Yeah, this Thursday, or indeed in round 5, which is in the middle of September.
I don't expect them to get the result from St. Kieran's or from Adair.
Okay, yeah, might leave it down to Munger, but look, if Munger does have safe passage and battling on both codes, who knows? It might come into their play into their favour.
I don't subscribe to that theory at all, because if you're coming off a group stage and you've got a good run, you know, you want to build the momentum going into the knockout phase.
Yeah.
And they will if Munger St. Paul's beat Ballylanders and clinch, they'll clinch the semi-final spot.
Yeah.
You know, because you even look at Adair as being the main contenders. Were Adair to get 8 points, Munger St. Paul's have the head-to-head on them.
Yeah. Well, St. Kieran's can also get to 8 points as well. We're ignoring that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if St. Kieran's and Mungret win, then it's a straight shootout for the semi-final spot in the last day.
Semi-final
But
spot.
as we're both leaning towards Adair, we think Adair will take care of St. Kieran's just about anyway this weekend. So, yeah, those combination results, an Adair win and a Mungret win would confirm Mungret's last 4 spot with a game to spare, which is some decent achievement on their first bout at senior level. I think, Matt,
look, Tom, it's what the football championship needed.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, and we suspected that if there was to be a change this year, we suspected right back to the end of last year that it would be Mungret would bring about the change, and it may be about to happen. But hopefully Ballylanders will have a say in it, Tom.
No, come on, leave her by his side, Matt. Very good. No, they could. They'll certainly they'll know a result for themselves will be needed in terms of trying to make sure senior football is maintained at least into next season. Okay, Matt, I'm conscious of time. We still have to look at Camogie and ladies football, so we'll quickly look at the predictions now. Just put up our leaderboard.
We've missed the game there, and
we might discuss it while we're going through the predictions. But which game have we not alluded to?
We have done Mungret and we have done Adair.
Yeah.
Oh, Monlane and the Pierce fixture.
Well, yeah, but we were talking about that in the context of relegation and you had plenty, so yeah, that's fine. But look, just our own leaderboard, a little bit of fun between the two of us and indeed John Keogh. Matt O'Callaghan leading the way, 27 points, 25 for myself, and John pulling up the rear just behind me on 24. I think myself and John got 4 out of 6 in last week's football, but that margins of victory, I don't think we were really on close with many of them. And we all incorrectly predicted wins for Newcastle West. And I think there was another one we all got wrong as well together. But all just a bit of fun. That's after 5 rounds of championship action, 3 now in football and 2 in hurling. So let's look at the fixtures.
Is there relegation in this table, Tom?
We're trying to get rid of John Keogh already. Well, he's only 1 result away from having me maybe on the head-to-head, as it were. But yeah, we're closing the gap slowly on you, Matt, you know. We'll see. John has submitted his predictions for this weekend, so I'll do the same here now momentarily. So round 4, we'll quickly go through, Matt. As I said, with ladies football, which we'd love to get to now in a second, and indeed Camogie. Group 1, St. Kieran's versus Adair. What way you've seen this one, Matt?
I'm going Adair by 4.
Adair by 4. Okay, I've put down Adair by 4, and John has said Adair by 5. Okay, the next game I have on my list is Mungret St. Paul's versus your beloved Ballylanders. Myself and John have said 6 and 7 points. We've said Mungret by 6 and Mungret by 7. So what way do you see this one? Do you think Mungret will continue their winning streak?
Mungret by 3.
Mungret by 3, okay.
Don't be surprised if there's a shock.
Yeah. You're wishing it anyway. Napiercy versus Monleen. Now, John has leaned with Monleen. He's pressed enough in their defeat against Mungret. He feels that now is the time for them to pick up their first win. I think this one is going to be a draw, a cross-city derby, as it were. What way do you see it, Matt?
What is John saying? I'm saying Monleen by 2.
He says Monleen by 2 as well. So you're in agreement with him. So, well, I've said a draw. So that means probably that Napiercy are going to win. So Monleen by 2. Okay, into Group 2, Kildare Palace Kenry against Father Casey's. Myself and John are in agreement here. 6 points will be the margin for Father Casey's.
I'm going Father Casey's by 4.
Father Casey's by 4. Okay. And when I say in agreement, it doesn't mean we're right. It just means that we've landed on the same number. Newcastle West, the county champions, against Galtee Gales. I believe Newcastle West will get back on to winning ways. 2 points. I'm leaning with them. John has said
2 points. I have 2 points.
Okay, you've said so far Casey's by 4, Newcastle West by 2 for Matt. The last group game, John has said Newcastle West by 3, so we're all predicting a narrow victory for the county champions in that, trying to wrestle back control of the group. Ula versus Ballysteen is the last one in this group, and I have said Ula will take this by 4, and John has said Ula by 2. So Matt, how do you see it? Are Ballysteen going to get back to a win?
By 2.
Ula by 2 as well. Okay, so a lot of similar predictions between us this weekend. Again, reminders to listeners and viewers, all a bit of fun between ourselves. And if you want to get in touch with your own predictions, I know a couple of people did in the hurling in recent rounds, so put your neck on the block, as it were, and we'll see how you get on.
The only ball I kicked in 6 games over the weekend was kicking one back to a player to take a line ball.
Right,
Got it.
yeah. I think I kicked one in the junior championship when I made a late surge in the bench in Fedamore, but there wasn't too many there to see it, Matt. Such was the volume of games on last Thursday evening. So not too many there to see me kicking the ball in anger, but they're probably better off. Okay, let's
So where did it go, Tom? Were you kicking for goal?
Oh, I was kicking it away. No, I wasn't kicking for goal, but Ballybrown after mark.
Did it reach its intended target?
It did. A man in a white and green shirt. That's where we were heading. A win for Ballybrown over Cappamore, in case any of you out there didn't hear. We're off the mark in the Premier Junior Championship and back in action against Father Casey's.
We heard all about it, Tom. We heard all about it.
Right. Well, that deserves
next business.
Podcast in its own on that one next week. Okay. Masters, just to mention their semi-final of the Spirit Cup, of course, the championship which Limerick annexed last season. They're facing against Cavan this weekend in the semi-final of that competition in Padraig Pearse's GA in Ballinasloe. A 3 p.m. throw-in for the lads in that one, and an opportunity to reach the final against Wicklow or Galway. So anything to add on that, Matt?
No, only like Limerick ended with 4 points, and had they beaten Armagh in the playoff, they would be playing in the Challenge Cup. But It is the Spirit Cup again for Limerick this year, who are the holders. Now, Cavan's record is poor, Tom. They beat Westmeath in the first round. Then they lost to Armagh, Leitrim, Longford, who are joined, Derry. They got a draw with Roscommon, and then they beat Tyrone. Lost to Tyrone, and lost very, very heavily to Tyrone. So they will be coming in on the back of a very, very heavy defeat. I'm fancying Limerick to get through to the final against Galway or Wicklow.
Okay.
We've much the same team as we had last year. And just speaking about it, Tom, there are a couple of these lads still playing with their clubs. I was out at the South Junior B football final last Sunday, and playing midfield for Galtee Gales was Andrew Breedy, who won a Masters, and a Spirit Cup Masters last year with Limerick, and was subsequently selected for the Ireland team for the compromise rules.
Yeah.
Last Sunday, Tom, he defies age. He was arguably the best man in the field.
Right.
He was outstanding, and I know for a fact that Maurice O'Connor is still turning out with Mount Collins. I know that Ronan McGee turned out and got a goal for Hospital Halberstown at the weekend. And I think John O'Connell is still turning out. And possibly Dennis O'Connor.
Yeah. No stopping him.
Fair dues to these guys. And maybe there are more. Forgive me if I left them out,
Yeah.
But just as we're on Masters, on the 31st, which is Saturday week, the hurling Masters gets underway. And it is Limerick will be playing Cork in Newtown Shandrum. I think it's 2:00. We'll talk about it next week. But I heard people during the week very, very disappointed that Tipperary have named a team, a squad, the nucleus of which is the 2010 All-Ireland Senior Hurling winning team.
Okay.
If they're all prepared to play Masters, fine. But if their arms were twisted to play Masters, not so fine. Okay. I'm not so sure that such a move is totally in the spirit of what the competition is, because we've only a limited number of players that played for the county. The Cork Masters football team, I haven't seen their Masters hurling team. You'd struggle to find anybody apart from Nicholas Murphy. And I think John Miskett played a couple of games, but apart from that, they were all unknowns to me. So that's a bit disappointing if it's correct. Perhaps they were gunning. to extend
They
their
want,
careers.
perhaps
So,
they wanted to get the band back together, Matt,
yeah,
as they
so
say.
a
One last
reunion
hurrah.
tour, is it they'd call it, Tom?
Yeah. One
You
last
know.
show or whatever it is,
But before we go, Tom, could I extend our congratulations to the Limerick under-16 football team who won the O'Donovan Cup at the weekend.
Yeah.
The final was on in Mallow, and they beat Wexford by 210 to 1-9. The Wexford goal came in injury time. So it's great. Congratulations to Michael Linehan and his management team. They had drawn with Wexford. They beat Kildare. They lost to Wicklow, but qualified for the final. And in the final, they beat Wexford 210 to 1-9. So congratulations to the lads. Anytime we win in All-Ireland at any level, very good.
Yeah, no harm for the development of those lads. So we'll probably see some of them at minor level, or plenty of them.
I would expect. I saw a couple of lads that played in the minor B football final a couple of weeks ago. Last Sunday week played for St. Sinans against Galtee Gales, and they are coming through.
Yeah, very good. Okay, congrats to all concerned and connected there. Let's look to Camogie now, Matt. I think it's Tree Dental sponsored Limerick Senior Camogie Championship.
No. It's, they have yet to announce a sponsor. The Tree Dental is the ladies' football.
Sorry, I'm mixing up my competitions now because they're all through in the last few days. They're Tree Dental on the brain.
You get mixed up like Donald Trump, or what's happening, Tom?
Yeah, but the Senior Camogie Championship results from last night, that being Tuesday, 4 points better over Killeedy. Bruff coming from well behind to defeat Napirshick 115 to 2-9. Monaleen comprehensive 4-13 to 9-point victors over Crocora, and Newcastle West 28-point victors over Adair 4-18 to 2 points. Matt, what do you want to pick out of that? I know you were at one of those games. So,
I was at the Bruff Napirshick game, and talking to some people afterwards connected with Limerick Camogie. You heard it here, Tom. Listen, watch out for the name Aoibhinn O'Connor.
Okay.
Now, Aoibhinn O'Connor was a member of the Limerick All-Ireland under-16 winning team. She played at full forward. She didn't, it wasn't how much scores she got, but her contribution from play, I thought, in the final against Galway was phenomenal when she came out around the middle. Now, she played she didn't start last night. She came on as a half-time sub. And Tom, she scored 7 points, including 4 from frees. This is a very, very special player on the up. There was 3 of the Limerick under-16 team on display last night. Caitlin O'Connor was simply Caitlin O'Connor. She got a good goal. She got a monstrous point from a free. Not too unlike the one she got against Kilkenny to send us through to the All-Ireland final. And Abigail Buckley, and Tara Hines wasn't available last night. But, Limerick Camogie is in a good place. Now, the Napirshick were the better team in the first half. They had a strong breeze. And I suppose 2-9 to 2-7 to 4 points was just about right. They deserved it. But Tom, the Bruff team that emerged after half time, it was totally different. Marion Quaid was absolutely, peerless at centre half back. Mairead Ryan, Mary O'Callaghan, and Aoibhinn O'Connor, all over the field. They started winning all the individual battles, and they restricted Napirshick to 2 points in the second half. One of them, which came from the Lisanna Boylan, who I thought had a fine game for Napirshick. She got that point in the 60th minute. So you could say that there was 29 minutes of play in which the Bruff only conceded a point. Now, Katie Campbell, an All-Ireland winner back in 2018 or 2014 with Limerick, minor A winner, was absolutely outstanding in the second half, or in the first half. And she went off injured soon after half-time. And I think it had a very negative effect on the Napirshick. From that point on, they struggled. But having said that, Rough were just getting into their stride and just getting into their rhythm. And in the end, Bruff deserved the victory. They had a couple of chances towards the end which could have sealed it completely. But, you know, they were 4 up. They could have easily made it 6, I thought. Got a couple of chances. Lisanna Boylan with that 68-minute point brought it back to 3, left them a bit vulnerable for the 3 minutes of injury time, but they saw it out. And good start for Bruff. Now, very, very good start for Mona Lee and Tom.
Yeah,
very good
hat-trick. Cuivaline's hat-trick in this one.
Yeah, we had a hat-trick. We had a hat-trick from
Cuivaline's.
You know, Cuiva got a hat-trick. And, you know, it was pretty tight in the first half. It was 1-5 to 5 points. I wasn't at it because obviously I'm not into by location at the moment yet.
Not yet.
You know,
not
I'd
this
love
year,
to be in. What do they call 6 location, Tom? I'd love to be there on Thursday night.
We're trying it tomorrow night. Yeah, whatever it is, we'll have a name for tomorrow night.
We'll try and find a word for it, Tom, will you? But in the second half, they really drove on, you know, and there was no question about it. But what a start for Mona Lean, you know, and you know, I'm not entirely surprised at all now. You know, I'm slightly surprised that Ella Hessian, like, who's a goal-scoring machine, didn't get a goal. But I'm sure that'll be rectified before long, you know. But it puts Cracora in, you know, there's going to be a huge game in the next round between Cracora and the Piercy, because the loser will definitely have to settle for the B Championship. Yeah. Now the Newcastle West, you know, it was a romp really, unfortunately from a Newcastle an Adair point of view. And
another hat trick here, yeah.
I was speaking to connections from from Newcastle West today who made out that the scoreline a bit flattered Newcastle West. You know that the plucky performance of Adair wasn't reflected in the final score. Now, Roisin Ambrose, our Limerick senior football captain, she got the first goal, and then Rebecca Lee got 3 goals. She got 2 in 3 minutes late in the first half, and then she got a goal in the 50th minute. So plenty of goals around the place, Tom, but no goal at all at Mackey Park, where Ahan defeated Killeedy 13 points to 9. It was 7-4 at half time. It was nip and tuck, but Ahan held out for a first win. So you see, it's a bit lopsided, Tom, in a way, in that even though those in Group 1 will not agree with me, but in Group 2 you have Newcastle West, Ahan, Killeedy, and Adair. I think we spoke about it last week.
Yeah. Well, 3 of those have been won the county title in the last few seasons, haven't they?
They've won it. Tell me somebody that hasn't, that other than them, that has won it.
Yeah.
You go back to Ballingarry, I'd say.
About 2016 maybe, or something like that.
Yeah,
even before that.
Time anyway. So, you know, it's a bit lopsided, but certainly, you know, it was disappointing for the Piercy. They played well in the first half, and they have a good forward line. Like Caitlin Ryan is going to be very, very good. She captained the Limerick under-16 team this year. She was up in the forwards, and you had Anya O'Tierney was up there. Anna Harrington. Like, these are all good, very good players, and of course Lisanna Boylan, who I thought was excellent.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, well, that's the opening round of the Limerick Camogie Championship, played last Tuesday night, and of course they'll be quickly into round 2. Matt, the ladies football second round went ahead last weekend. I had the results here to hand somewhere. I have so many lists of results here. Wins, I believe, for Ballylanders over Galtee Gales. We'll come to that one in a second. Ula got the better of Drumbradford, I think 3-7-9. Mona Gay, I'm trying to remember who Mona Gay beat. Castleman, was it?
Fiona Castleman 5-9 to 2-8.
5-9 to 2-8. So goal fest there, and St. Ailbe's comfortable victors, 114 to 4 points over Old Mill. I think you were at the Ballylanders Galtee Gales ones in one of your many expeditions this weekend. I was, Tom. I was, and just to explain to listeners and viewers again, like the group stage of the ladies' football is nothing more than
a seeding process.
Yeah.
You know, the teams will finish obviously 1 to 4, and the top 2 teams in each group will have the benefit of home quarterfinals. So it will be first in Group 1 against fourth in Group 2, second in Group 1 against third in Group 2, and vice versa. That will make up the 4 quarterfinals. And when the 4 quarterfinals are played, the 4 winners go into the A Championship and the 4 losers go into the B Championship. So it's a very, very good structure. I was out at the what I would call the Galties derby between Ballylanders and Galtee Gales. Tom, there was a huge crowd there. You know, and they say people are not interested in ladies football. There was a huge crowd out there. I'd say nearly record proportions for a group game in Limerick, and fantastic atmosphere, of course. And you're an ideal build up to it in that you know, Ballylanders, the elder stateswomen possibly of football in the Galties, coming into the game after a defeat by St. Ailbe's in the first round, and Galtee Gales cock of the hoop after 2 promotions and getting the campaign off to a winning start against Old Mill the previous week. So it was all set up for a very special game. And Tom, it did not disappoint. You know, people were expecting a special game. They got it and got more. You know, it was a great game of football. Really great game of football. Now, Ballylanders used all their experience. Ballylanders have had a difficult year. They were relegated in the league, and they failed to pick up a win. And it was their first win of the season, actually. But what a win it was. But they just seem to have got everything right, and they've just seemed to be getting everybody on board. Katty Mee was absolutely outstanding. You know,
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding. So was Mairead Ryan, who was outstanding for Bruff last night. You know, and she was just saying to me after the game last night that she was tired. I said I wouldn't be surprised. The 2 games you've had in the last 3 or 4 days, you know.
Yeah.
Mairead Ryan and Andrea Sullivan. Now, Andrea's normally a forward, but she was playing a sweeper role and was done very, very effectively, because there was the threat of Roisin Breedy. Now, Oisin Breedy was excellent in the first half. She was coming out around the middle, running at the Ballylanders defence, you know, and they were failing to cope with her. She was making all sorts of inroads, but they coped with her much better in the second half. Now, Bally led at half time, won 7-5 points, but Galtee Gales brought it back. I think they brought it back to a point, or they brought it back level, you know, and it was you know, the game was really in the melting pot until Bally got the second goal, and
Right.
it was then they drove on. Now, this weekend, Bally travelled to Caharelli to play St. Ailbe's. Ailbe's are already on 4 points, so you could say that Ailbe's are nearly assured. They are actually assured of maybe they're not. If Galtee Gales beat them and Ballylanders beat Old Mill, you'll have 3 clubs and 4 points.
Right. So there's where scores.
Comes then for the 2 home semi-finals. Cross over to the other group. Monaghan, no surprise, 2 wins from 2, and they play in a repeat of last year's semi-final. They travel to Ula this weekend. They travel to Ula on Sunday at 6 o'clock. Ula are on 3 points. They drew the first game at home with Fiona Castleman, and then went to Drumcollar last Wednesday and won there. So it's not going to be a pushover now for Monaghan.
No, but
And I you know, they will be absolutely assured of a home semi-final if they avoid defeat, because it will mean they'll be on 4 points, because Drumbradford have 2 defeats. Fiona Castlenahan have only 1 point. But what Ula to lose to depend on the Fiona Castlenahan result with Drumcollar, Bradford, and were they to win that, you'd have 2 and 3 points, and probably separated by goal difference, scoring difference, as they played out and drawn the group game.
yeah, I suppose that
You got all that, Tom.
Yeah, I have, but it puts a bit of interest in all the games then, because there's something at stake. You know, I know no one's getting knocked out, but some people might want at this
Yeah,
point.
some people find that hard to comprehend, and
Yeah,
some people are critical of it. But
no, I think
if you look at the structure in its totality, Tom,
yeah,
it's good.
all the way down. It is, no, that is, and I would be of the view, if Limerick Ladies football are to come up out of junior and out of Division 4. Now I know they're out of Division 4, but if they're to start rising up the ranks, we need more players playing more games, meaningful games, as it were. Maybe, you know, rather than playing 1 and 2 championship games, we need players to be playing 3, 4, and 5 championship games where possible. I think I said that a few weeks ago as well. That's how we bring up the standard, and that's how you unearth new players. So give them more opportunities to play. And at the end of the day, even from a social point of view, especially when you go down the grades, like why are ladies signing up? They're signing up to play games and have that enjoyment. And let's have a meaningful amount of games rather than just, you know, an old straight knockout or a group of 3 and
Yeah,
all this sort of
you
stuff.
know,
You know,
I agree with you, Tom, and I agree totally with you. But I suppose the argument against it is that it's very condensed. But what other option have you?
yeah. Should if they got to the All Ireland final, the ladies football, sure, that would have been only over a couple of weeks ago, and
That's
you know
all.
that would have been 30
Like
odd players
I don't think they've
unavailable.
wasted any time. No, neither have the Camogie
Yeah,
wasted any time either. Like they're into the first rounds on Tuesday night. Now I know it was a bit difficult on those that are dual players with football clubs, and there's an awful cross section. There'll be players playing with Camogie with a club and they'll be playing football with a club that you wouldn't dream that they'll be playing with, and you've all that sort of what cross fertilization or whatever you like to call it. But
yeah,
you know, look, I think the structure is as good in both codes as it could be. I
yeah.
think
Let's see
there's
how
a
it.
decent effort made to have a decent competition.
Yeah, no, that's it.
I know there was problems a couple of years ago. I won't go away from that, but like I think there has been a problem. There has been an effort made to issue and iron out the problems from the start. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
like we have football this weekend and we have Camogie next weekend.
That's it. Yeah, and it
Like
seems like two
we will
working
know
together.
the lineup for the football this weekend. We will have a fair idea of the lineup for the Camogie next weekend after
Yeah,
2
yeah.
rounds.
That's it. Okay. I think finally, Matt, this weekend we must congratulate Croke Kilfinney's Martina McMahon on her
Absolutely.
latest success. I believe this is in the well, it was in handball, of course, but it was in the small ball open singles final. Now I'm no expert on that. I hope that sounds all right, but she defeated her US opponent out in Newell earlier in the week. So another All Ireland title. Now I don't think she always plays the small ball, but that is. I'm
No,
led to believe
but I'm sure we look back and we'll wait for the totality of the week.
Yeah.
Because I have no doubt there'll be more coming her way. You know, like congratulations to Martina. She's just phenomenal, Tom.
Yeah.
She's just phenomenal. I'll always remember, Tom, being in the dressing room in Croke Park after the 2018 All Ireland final. We got into that exalted place. I don't know how, but we got in anyway. But I remember getting a text that Martina McMahon had won the All Ireland. They had won the World Championship.
Almost at the same time, was it?
No, it was while we were in the dressing room celebrating after winning the 2018 All Ireland.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. She won her title at the same time as Limerick.
Why there's no
hurling.
better than this, you know.
Yeah. Well, the small ball format, I think, much tighter court and all the rest of it. So, you know, really takes a bit of skill to win that, I'm sure. And she's more used to the bigger court and all that. So,
No, they can
matter.
call it 40 by 20 or 60 by 30 or anything they like. But I think Martina McMahon has conquered all those.
Yeah, she could play in a dark alley with dustbins. I'd say she'd beat people around in the sport of handball. So congratulations to her. We'll see if any more comes away. There's still another couple of days of it out in Newell. This weekend.
Tom, we'll talk more intelligently about it next week on its totality.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Matt. I think the clock is.
We'll be far more informed.
Yeah, the clock I think is coming against us. I think we've covered plenty this weekend. I hope you enjoyed the chat. Those of you listening in on hurling, football, ladies football, Camogie, and of course, just momentarily anyway, at least on handball. So thanks very much for tuning in. Thank you as always, Matt. We'll chat to you again soon, and do let us know your predictions for the Senior Football Championship, because you know we'd love to see if someone else can get 6 out of 6. Slán
We
go
would.
fóill.
We got 6 out of 6 in the hurling the last time, Tom.
We did. Whisper it quietly, Matt. Right?
No. We'll blow our trumpets.
Yeah. Okay.